welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be making dessert, specifically an Oreo chocolate snack cake. I'm kind of just developing this as I go along. I'm using a snack cake recipe from the Betty Crocker cookbook, and then I'm just going to kind of make up a recipe for Oreo frosting using my frosting recipe with some crushed up Oreos in it. I think it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good. It's technically Thursday. I usually bake on Fridays, but it's been one of those weeks. So I'm going to record it and bring you guys along with me so you can see what I'm doing. I have to say, this is probably one of the best chocolate cakes that I've made in a long time. Now I know why I call it snack cake. I don't even think you really need frosting on this. It's so good. So we're going to start out with a cup and a half of all-purpose flour. And you don't even need the mixer for this one. So I'm just doing everything in just a small little bowl here. A cup of granulated sugar, a quarter cup of unsweetened baking cocoa, and then I just decided to keep adding all my dry ingredients. So next up is about a half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and then I'm using vanilla powder. I'll see if I can find it on Amazon and link it below, but that's what this next ingredient is here. Or dried vanilla is probably what it's called. And then I'm just going to take a whisk and combine all the dry ingredients. I'm going to grab my sprayed 9-inch glass pan. And then here's where it gets a little weird. So we're going to add a teaspoon of white or apple cider vinegar, which is what I did, and then a third cup of vegetable oil. My oven was preheating to 350, so I went ahead and dumped the oil into the dry ingredients and held off on the oil and water. And it does say a cup of cold water. So after my oven preheated, I just poured the apple cider vinegar into the water and put that into the bowl, and then it says to vigorously mix everything for about a minute. So this is me trying my best. This is probably about like 30 seconds. I did not last a full minute. And then the key here is to immediately get it in the oven. I'm guessing it's the baking soda and vinegar are reacting because there's no eggs in here. That's what's going to give your cake lift. I love looking at cake shots. This is the money shot here. I need to get better lighting though so you guys can see it better. So you just scrape everything into your, like I said, greased 9 by 9 Pyrex is what this is. And then this is going to bake at 350 for 30 to 35 minutes until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. So now I'm going to work on the frosting, and this is just something I just made up here. So I'm busting up in a small little food processor about 7 Oreos. You can also just do this in a Ziploc bag with a rolling pin just to bust them up. And I'm just going to grind those pretty fine. And you notice I didn't take the filling out. It doesn't bother me. You can if you want to. So I'm looking to get those pretty finely ground, which looks good. And then here's my frosting recipe. I don't use cups, I use weight. So that stick or half a cup of butter was about 115 grams. So what then I'm going to do is do the same grams in powdered or confectionery sugar twice. So here's my bowl, and I'm going to measure 115 grams of powdered sugar. Then I'm going to turn the mixer down. Again, that was just the butter in there. And I'm just putting in just a couple sprinkles of salt, table salt, that's what that was, and throw in that first round of powdered sugar. And turn this on low for a couple minutes till that butter kind of covers all that sugar, otherwise you're going to be wearing it. And then once the butter's kind of in there, then I turn it up to medium-high speed and just let it go. You can even forget about this. The longer it beats, the better. You're trying to get air in there. It lightens the frosting so it's not so thick. So here I am with powdered sugar number 2. Again, still 115 grams. That's what our butter was. And I'm going to turn the mixer down and just measure out 115 grams. So then just turn the mixer down. And this is when I also take the opportunity to give it a little bit of a scrape. Sometimes you get butter stuck way at the bottom down there, so I like to kind of pull that up. And it may be hard to tell here, but it's still kind of a yellowish color from the butter. That's another indicator that I know it hasn't whipped a lot, because once you get enough air in there, it's going to turn a white color, which is what you want. So again, lower, I'm going to turn this guy into low, and then I'm just going to let it rip. But before that, I'm going to actually add in about a teaspoon of vanilla. And this is pure vanilla extract, but you can use the imitation if that's what you have. And then I'm also going to add in about 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. This is what I have. I don't always have heavy cream. Sometimes I'll just use whole milk. But I don't recommend you use skim milk because it's a little too runny and it changes the consistency of your frosting. And I also feel like the skim milk makes the frosting crust more and quicker. I could be wrong. I don't know. I just always use whole milk or heavy cream. So then one more little scrape down here. And then this is pretty much good to go. I did fast forward through this. I had that run on the machine for probably about 10 minutes. And now I'm going to add in that Oreo. And the key to this is the more you mix it, the grayer the frosting is. I kind of like the gray look. Some people don't. So if you want that white with the crumbs, just barely mix in the crumb topping or the Oreos and then stop. So here I'm just piling on my cooled cake. And then I just happened to get these, I think it's a butter spreader technically, from my silverware set. So that's what I'm using. You can also use an offset spatula. And I could do this all day. It's just so zen to me, just smearing frosting around. And you can stop here. It's cute, done. But I'm just going to dress it up a little bit. So I'm just taking some of these Oreos, just cutting them in half. And then I was just putting them on top to be decorative. Totally optional. You don't have to do that. It's me trying to be fancy. I also have to say cutting this is a little bit harder than it looks. I'm trying to do a sawing motion there. And all done. This was so delicious. We're definitely going to be making it. And like I said, that cake was so good. You have to try this. The recipe is linked below.